We all have a tendency to underestimate the weight of our words. But research has actually shown in order to think a thought, paint a picture, work a math problem, you need words. It's simple. Words allow you to think, see, and interpret the world around you. And it seems like words must be a really big deal to God. After all, everything started with a word. I'm pretty sure the first words ever spoken were God's. The first ones we know about were, "Let there be light." Maybe it's no accident that words have been helping us see ever since. God used words to create a world out of nothing. And God didn't reserve the power of words only for himself. Adam didn't really get to create anything, but he did get to name the animals. Adam decided that one is a slug, that's a butterfly, that's a hippopotamus. God gave Adam the creative power to name something. He shared with all of us the incredible ability to give meaning, define attributes, and shape perceptions of the created world. God shared the power of words. He gave us the tremendous responsibility of communication. But like all things with power, words have the potential to do as much damage as they do good. They can be used to love or to hate, to encourage or tear down, to illuminate or to shut out. What you say probably has more of an impact than you think it does. Maybe that's why James warns us that words are just like a bridle on a horse or a rudder on a ship. They are small things, but they have tremendous influence. And when you put words over time, something significant happens. They aren't just something you use to win at Scrabble or something you tweet to get more followers. Words over time actually become a collection of messages that impact someone's direction. It's easy to take words for granted because we use them every day. But the words we use not only affect what we see, they affect how we influence others to see. That's why the words that you give to teenagers and kids over time are so important. Every time you speak, you're reinforcing or expanding their vocabulary. You're giving them words that will shape how they see the world, how they see themselves, and how they think about God. Your words will help them imagine and understand the things that they can't see so that they can keep moving in a positive direction. Actually, when you put words over time, they do some amazing things. Words over time help kids reason. It's really not complicated to understand. You need words to think. So the more words you have, the more ideas you can ideate. Intuition, you can intuit. Thoughts, you can think. If you want kids to be able to reason, they need words. Actually, one of the greatest indicators of a child's future success is vocabulary, which is probably why the U.S. military's Armed Forces qualification test gives twice as much weight to verbal scores as to math scores, or why the SAT is weighted toward verbal abilities 2-to-1. They are acting on the belief that the greater your variety of words, the greater your scope of thinking. How effective would you be if you're a musician with only 2 notes, a chef with only 3 ingredients, a mechanic with only 1 tool? The truth is, kids need to increase their vocabulary in order to be more successful. If you want to help a kid or a teenager be an innovator, problem solver, and learner, then give them words. Because if they never expand their vocabulary, they will grow up to be limited, stuck, and dependent. Words over time can also help kids win. If words in general help us think, problem solve, and learn new concepts, a few select words have the ability to shape the way we feel, the way we hope, and the way we dream. If you want a kid to know they matter, then make your words matter. When you talk to them and when you talk about them, the words you use matter. The words you use can set them up to feel significant, to feel valued, or to feel unique. Kristen Ivy is one of our staff who helped with the book Playing for Keeps. In the book, she tells a story about a kid in her class who she said she'll never forget. He had some learning disabilities, and he was on a number of medications. He was unsocial. He always kept his head down, and he never participated in class. Until she said one day she was reading a story that he turned in, and in her mind, she was sure that he had plagiarized. This story was just so good, so well written, that she was sure it couldn't be his work. When she brought him in, she came to discover that it was his writing. She told him that it was good and that he had a gift for writing like she had never seen. The next thing she knew, he was bringing her stories after school unassigned, just for feedback. This kid went on to start a writers club at the school and to start visiting writers circles at a local bookstore. He started performing better in school in ways that no one even imagined. A year into college, he wrote her this letter. Listen to what he said. Prior to my sophomore year, I really had no idea as to where I would be going in life. My depression, among other things, was a factor in that, but I really didn't see what sort of skill I had that would be beneficial to society. I felt as if I had nothing to offer. Well, I finally discovered that skill, which ultimately led to others. When you gave me a few words of encouragement after reading that convoluted little story I turned in as a creative writing assignment. Everything and Nothing was its name, and it was the worst thing I have ever written. But this terrible little story contained something unseen to myself, but not to you. You said I had potential. He goes on to talk about his newfound confidence, because when he started writing, he discovered something about his potential. It changed the way he saw himself, and it moved him in a better direction. It really wasn't that Kristen did anything remarkable. It was only a few simple words. They didn't feel significant at the time, but that one conversation, those few words, made a huge impact. As a parent or leader, you might not get many of those stories. You rarely know the impact of your own words. You won't often hear things like, "Wow, I never thought about it that way," or "Thanks, Mom, your words made me feel so loved," or "When you say that, it really changed how I think about that." But over time, the words you use are making an impact. They communicate value to the kids in your life and help them win. One more thing that words over time can do, they can help kids believe. Have you ever considered that most of what you know about God, you know through words? Our theology is expressed in words. Words like redemption, justification, and grace help us understand certain characteristics of God's nature. That's why the words you give to kids and teenagers matter when it comes to their faith. Your analogies, adjectives, and questions will shape how they think about God. That's how you build a spiritual history. You give kids and teenagers spiritual words over time. Playing for keeps simply means you get serious about what you say with your words. You make it a point to expand your vocabulary, which is just another way of saying learn the words they need to hear. If you're hanging around kids or teenagers, you'll automatically pick up on some new vocabulary. You might even find yourself saying some pretty remarkable things like, "Don't sit on your brother's face," "You're wrong, a gorilla would totally destroy a bear in a fight," "Can you use your big kid voice and ask nicely with a happy heart?" By the way, if you say that last one to a group of 11th grade guys, you're likely to get some pretty interesting looks. With kids and teenagers, there are new words for every season of life. That's why when you understand the power of words over time, you become intentional about giving a teenager the words he needs when he needs them most. Remember, you're making history in the lives of kids and teenagers. This week, your words have incredible potential to turn on a light and help someone see. So when you say something this week, say it so it matters, and say it so someone knows they matter, because a few words can have a lasting influence. They can impact the direction of someone's life.